Let's go. Let's go, man. Hunt the ball. Let's go, family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family.
Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films, coming off the Ravens' 16-13 win against the Chicago Bears in Soldier Field. Jameel here to join me, here to talk about it. Jameel, first off, how you doing? How's the podcast going? How's my buddy Knox? Give a plug for your show and all that good stuff, man.
Yes. Jameel at Jameel7_ on Twitter. You guys can follow me there. Me and my brother Knox is also at Ravens Elite, 8 Elite. So it's the number 8, then LITE on Twitter. Ravens Elite Podcast. You can find us on Anchor. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The podcast has been going great, man. We just we'll be dropping episode 22 tomorrow at 12 p.m. So we're 22 episodes in, man. It's been a long journey and it's been fun. It's been amazing.
Time flies, man. It just seems like yesterday you were just kicking it off. I remember, hey, their first podcast coming out. Look, man, episode 22. Good game reviews every Tuesday. They come out. The game review. Him and Knox, Jameel and Knox, just a great conversation. I always try to get in on there. But talk about a crazy day though, Jameel.
Yeah,
Tyler Huntley's first start isn't really technically an emergency start because he didn't find out he was going to be starting till he got a text from Lamar when he was on the bus. So it wasn't even like he didn't even know until a few hours before the game. So I know a lot of fans are up and down about this game. They have some complaints. It wasn't pretty. But overall, you've got to be happy going into a road stadium with your backup quarterback on an emergency situation and coming out with a win.
I mean, how can you not be happy? A situation like that, it's kind of just been the tale of the season. Our story all season has just been resilience, adversity, overcoming every obstacle that's been, thrown our way. Sometimes we've come up short, but we've definitely rose to the occasion more than we've liked, more successfully than we haven't been unsuccessful in certain situations. There's only been a couple situations where we haven't, been successful, but for the most part this season we've been successful in overcoming adversity. So there were concerns, going into the game with, first we lost Hollywood. I think that news came out. I'm confused on whether it came out the night before or earlier that morning of the game, whether Hollywood was going to be out or not.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it until like Sunday early in the morning
hours. So it was Sunday morning, early Sunday morning. We heard about our starting wide receiver, and then we have to deal with getting the news about our starting quarterback. So it doesn't get more difficult than that, going into hostile territory, cold game, Chicago on the road, just after a tough loss to another, to the team prior to the Miami Dolphins.
That's another thing, man. Coming off that loss, the team could have been down on itself, and Anthony Averett was another guy that was like a late scratch. I think he got hurt in practice. So it's like I wasn't even sure before the game, Jameel, because for the first time, every one of our inactives were hurt. So if all your inactives are hurt, that usually means a couple of guys are active that are still banged up. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't have surprised me if some of these guys that were questionable weren't at full speed either. So I was wondering just like how beat up we were. And then you talked about the resiliency of the team. This was the 5th time the Ravens had a fourth quarter comeback. They've only played 10 games. Like that's crazy. 7-3, 5 of them wins are fourth quarter comebacks. This time from the backup quarterback. And, man, he had some help. But overall for Huntley, I just want to read the stats to you before I ask you what you thought about Tyler Huntley. He went 26 of 36. That's 72%. 219. No touchdowns, 1 interception. That 1 interception, though, was just a great play by the defender to knock it off of Mark Andrews and pick it up. Yeah. It was a good throw. And then, of course, 7 rushes for 40 yards. You can't ask for much more from a backup quarterback. 72% taking care of the ball on the road. Talk to me about Snoop. Talk to me about Tyler Huntley and what you thought he did yesterday.
For me personally, there were certain instances where Tyler Huntley, where it was kind of questionable situations. But for the most part, man, Tyler Huntley, he played just as good as I would have liked for him to play in a situation like that. He seemed prepared for majority of the time with the play calling and the way the game was going. So I was pleased with his performance on Sunday. I can't really critique it too much because, like I said, he was thrown into a situation. I'm not going to say that he wasn't ready for it, because your number as a backup quarterback, you always have to be ready for whenever your number is called. So it's just good to see him rise to the occasion and pull out a W. And he played some good football. He down the stretch in the fourth quarter when we needed him to step up the most, he delivered that beautiful strike to Sammy Watkins late in the game, man, to put us at in a position to go on and win that football game.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about that play for a second. We started from our own 28-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
We need a touchdown to win the game. Tucker's useless at this point. We need a touchdown. 1:33 to go, 2 timeouts, and he hit that 29-yard pass to Sammy. I believe it put us on the 3-yard line because Freeman's touchdown was a 3-yard touchdown. Yeah. But it was a 3rd and 12, Jameel, and it was a blown coverage by the Bears, but that didn't take away from what Huntley did on that play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not putting a lot of emphasis on the blown coverage. Because the Ravens defense, we've had a lot of those this season. We don't get any excuses for having blown coverages. So
that's right.
I'm not going to give Chicago the benefit of the doubt there. You have to play football. You have to play smart football, and you have to know your assignments. It's just that simple. And Tyler Huntley capitalized, and Sammy Watkins made a heck of a catch. And the rest is history after that, man. That was a beautiful play.
I mean, it was a great throw. So, I mean, blown coverage. Yeah, it's not like, right. It's not like it was a blown coverage and he just could loft it down there at any angle. Yeah. And like it was off his back foot. He had the safety closing in on him. He had it was kind of by the sideline. Like he could have easily got under that, thrown it out of bounds. He could have like led Sammy into the safety, trying to be too careful with it. It was right on off his back foot. I mean, it was a 29-yard pass, but he probably threw it 40 yards in the air. It was a beautiful, beautiful throw. But, I mentioned the one interception that he had was just a great play by the defender, small window. Like Romo was pointing out on the broadcast a few times where the Bears tried to bait Huntley very smartly, very, very well done, into throwing somewhere where they could close on and make a step. And Huntley was not buying it. 8 passes completed to the running backs. Where has this been? 8 targets, 8 completions. So when it wasn't there and they was trying to bait Huntley into these small window throws with people dropping in at the last minute, dropping back, Tyler was taking what the defense gave him. And I thought that was a key to this game, because if he didn't stay within himself, if we lost the turnover battle, this game would have been over.
Yeah, man. I don't know where this has been. Part of me wants to say, because I seen someone say this on Twitter. It's quite interesting. They said they wonder if we had this short and intermediate game because we didn't have Hollywood out there. But then part of me said, you know what? We still did try down the field with Rashad Bateman. That's how we got 2 defensive pass interference calls with Rashad Bateman. So we did try at least to get the ball down the field a couple times. Me personally, I love the adjustment. But before I get too excited, I need to see it more going forward, week in and week out, because me personally, the whole the comment that was made by Coach Harbs about them having the best ideas of how to beat a cover zero, it just was kind of like, come on, dude. Like, I mean, I love Harbs, but you said it after the game. That's like a firefighter saying we have all the tools to put out a fire after the house is burned down. So it just doesn't really. It just doesn't. The house is already gone now. I mean, if you had all the tools and all the ideas, you should have utilized it when the house was in flames at the time. So just didn't make any sense to me.
Gotcha. I got two thoughts for you on this. The first
Mm-hmm.
one, the tweet that you said, where he was like, whoever said it said that they thought that the game plan changed because of Hollywood. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
disagree with that, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
It looked like the preseason game plans to me, Jameel.
Mm.
Like, think back. Like, I watched that on the channel. If anybody wants to watch it too, the Washington football game where Tyler Huntley. It was the third preseason game, and I cut up all his dropbacks. So I was looking at that before the game, trying to get an idea of like how things might be different, with
Mm-hmm.
Tyler back there. And I was like, man, I remember that. There's this little pass to Josh Oliver. There's a little pass to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you remember the preseason flow, man. We
Yeah,
had
yeah,
the running backs working. So I
yeah.
think that was more because of Tyler Huntley than Hollywood being out. And then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the offensive game plan, though, I'm in the same spot. Like, I'm just game to game at this point. And,
Right.
there's going to be a game coming up where I'm going to be frustrated with the, plays that are called, the when's to where. I mean, whatever your end game or what you feel about Greg Roman aside, I'll just say for this game, I thought he had a very good game. He stuck with him in himself. Tyler Huntley stuck within himself. We got some big running too. Like
Yeah.
the numbers for Freeman weren't great and Murray weren't great, but it wasn't a lot of room to run, and they kind of
Yeah.
picked up the yards when they needed to. Like Devonta Freeman's really impressed me, Jameel. 16 carries, only 49 yards, so it wasn't a big day,
Yeah.
but of course, the game-winning touchdown. But
Yeah.
he was getting caught in the backfield again, blown assignments by the offensive
Mm-hmm.
line. Seems
Mm-hmm.
like Freeman, like he'd make a quick little move and then get upfield real quick. And he looks like the best back in this offense. I mean, if we're not going to use Tyson and find out, because Tyson, I think, man, I would just really love to see him get touches, man. I mean, I can't help it.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to
Yeah.
somebody the other day, even if he's going to make a mistake here or there, he gives you that speed to be able to open up the playbook. And to me, that's more important. But yeah, can you just talk about the running back rotation? Say something about Freeman. How do you feel about Tyson? Since I got you to laugh on that one.
Me personally, man, I say give the kid another shot. At this point, man, I don't know what else he needs to do to get back on the field. Because me personally, I just feel like, at this point, do you have any other better options as far as explosiveness is concerned? Because I see a lot of people there calling for Duvernay to be utilized in the backfield.
I wouldn't mind seeing it either, man.
Yeah.
Just something.
So I'm like, if you're not even going to do that, are you going to at least give Tyson Williams, who can present that explosiveness? I just feel like, you got to give him another shot at some point just to see, if he's, I feel like he's been given some type of opportunity, but then it's like he'll do something and then it'll be like, okay, this is why we don't, trust you. But it's like, man, just get a kid a couple more carries, man. Let him get his feet up under him. Let him, I wouldn't mind seeing Tyson again at this point of the season. Devonta Friedman, he's definitely impressed me because I wasn't too high on him early on, and I think majority of the Ravens community could say the same about themselves. A lot of us weren't high on him, but he's put together a couple of good games as of lately. He's been stacking some good games, so I don't really have anything bad to say about Devonta Friedman right now. He's playing very well. He's doing all he can with the offensive line play. So I can't really critique Devonta Friedman as far as like the runner goes, because he shows when he's given that clean alley that he can still he doesn't have the burst and the speed that he once possessed, but he can still do the jump cuts and make a guy miss and then get some positive yards down the field.
Yeah, he gets north and south pretty quickly after he makes that little jump cut or whatever it is, sidestep a guy and then get north south, and then he's always had that good like low center of gravity where he's not like Murray. Latavius Murray just plows into guys and gets like Devontae gets underneath of him, gets that like low man wins and always get a little bit extra. But yeah,
Sure.
the last thing I wanted to I haven't said this to you, but I think I said it on the last show is like when Bell was cut, it made me think it was a vote of confidence for Tyson. Now, first of all, Bell wouldn't have been cut unless Freeman was healthy. I mean, excuse me, unless Murray came back. So that was number one. Murray comes back, but you had to get rid of somebody, and it wasn't Tyson. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like they could have kept Bell there for a steadying force. So to me, that was like letting Le'Veon Bell go was kind of like a vote of confidence in Tyson. And then my other thought is it's up to the coaching staff, Jameel. You know this, man. Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses. It's up for me as a coach to get the best out of you, Jameel. Like if you're not good at X, Y, and Z, we're not going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do whatever it is Jameel does best to get him involved because I know he can help the team. And I'm hoping that Harbaugh, Roman, and the staff there can just find a way to get Tyson in there. If not, get Nate McCrary in there. If not, give Duvernay some shot. But just some kind of speed on that edge, I think, would really help this offensive line and the offense in general. So yeah.
Agree.
But yeah, on the offensive line, I haven't gone back. I don't have the all 22, but it didn't look like a great day. It looked like the same kind of things. Strong day from Bozeman, strong day from Zeitler. I did see Zeitler get beat once, but again, he's like one-on-one while we're giving all this help to Powers. Zeitler's been one-on-one a lot. McCary, I saw him like limping around a little bit. Like it looked like he re-injured himself. I didn't think it was a great game for McCary. And of course, the Bears, where is it? I think 6 sacks. 6 sacks on the day. Robert Quinn had 3.5. So, it's a lingering issue, like I said. But in this game, I don't think that they played very well against the Bears front. Did you get any kind of feel on how the O-line played without, taking a long rewatch? What was your initial thoughts?
For me personally, I have to agree with you. Offensive line, just like all season, they've underperformed. Our offensive line tend to like do this thing where they show like a splash of what they could be if they're all on the same page, and then they'll go right back to just being the inconsistent O-line that they've been, unfortunately. I think McCary still like trying to work back from his injury. I won't hold that game on him too much because prior to that injury, he was playing very well. So I'll give him another week or two. Probably, I give him this game. Hopefully by next week he's back to, back to that level that he was prior to his injury. AV, still the same, struggles there. Bozeman, still, solid player, along with Kevin Zeitler. Left guard, like I've been saying, I would love to see some consistency there with who they're going to go with. A lot of fans aren't too high on Ben Powers, and neither am I. I think something needs to be done at left guard because I just don't understand what the long-term goal is as far as the left guard position. There's a lot of uncertainty there at left guard.
Yeah, and then for me, Jameel, it was like, I have nothing against Ben Powers. I see what he does. Like he's gotten a lot out of what his body says he should be. But then, I look at him getting beat 2 or 3 times a game right off the snap, right from the jump. He's beat and he can't recover. And like I understand that Ben Cleveland has some work to do. He really does. He looks raw. So, he'll get out of place. But the thing is, he's still so big and strong. And when I go back and look at some of his performances, him firing off the ball, say in short yardage situations, I mean, he's moving people. He's not one of them big guys that doesn't play to it. He's one of them big guys that plays as big as he is. So, like, right. I could live with some mistakes from Ben Cleveland because at least I'm getting a plus skill. Yeah, and a plus skill. Like, what does Powers do? Great.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I was definitely going to say what you just said. Like, Cleveland he may have his mistakes, but he's incredibly strong. He's going to move people. What Powers don't do, I just don't know.
So I wanted to ask you about the defense. Anybody else on offense you want to give a shout out to? I want to give a shout out to Mark though. Mark Andrews coming through big once again. He had a nice highlight catch too in the first quarter. A lot of people are going to forget that. Yeah, that was a big third down conversion. By the way, the Ravens only went 3 and out once yesterday. That was something I almost forgot there, dude. Only went 3 and out once on the road with an emergency starter. I had to look that up, but yeah, Mark Andrews catching that early was, the first down that kept that drive going. So a lot of 6-play drives, 7-play drives. Like, yeah, we weren't moving the ball all the way downfield, but
Right.
you seen the time of possession was way out of whack in the beginning. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
remember what
yeah.
it ended up. It was because
Mm-hmm.
we were moving the ball, even if we were getting a first down or two. Mark Andrews had a lot to do with that. His blocking
Mm-hmm.
has improved. Like a lot of people, I just, whenever we give him money, dude, whenever we give a player money, it seems like he's either gets hurt or takes his foot off the pedal. And with Mark, man, this might be his best year after getting paid, which says something to me about like his heart and his character, his dedication to his teammates, in the city.
Mark, man, I love Mark Andrews, man.
Money Mark.
That guy, man, he's amazing, bro. And I've been saying it all season. He's one of the players you have to keep him on the field. He's your best. He's your best blocking tight end outside of Nick Boyle. Nick Boyle is just coming back. He's your best receiving threat outside of the obvious Hollywood Brown. Bateman is obviously coming around, and Watkins is he does his thing. But as far as a mismatch concerned, Mark Andrews one-on-one with most players, he presents a lot of problems for most defenders. He runs really great routes. It was this one clip. It was the play, actually, the play when he caught the one hand. It was the video from the top of the route from the line of scrimmage all the way through. Man, the route he ran to get open like that, because if you, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the route, the separation he had from the guy was checking him.
Yeah, guy was checking him at the line, and he just kind of ducked him and like shucked him and
like got him out of the, like if that throw was probably like straight to him, he could have caught that and kept going upfield.
right.
But Benzo, the throw was a little high. He had to go up for it. But if that throw was like on the outside in front of him to where he could catch and then turn upfield, he'll still be running right now.
So,
yeah.
a couple of other things I want to get to. Number
Yeah.
one, I don't want to forget to ask you: is there any concerns with you about Lamar coming up here for the Cleveland game, or do you think he's going to be okay? Can you just give me that one real quick? Are you like a little bit worried like me, or you think he'll be all right?
I don't know. I have to see how this week plays out as far as the illness situation.
Yeah, I'm nervous about Wednesday. Like, I want to see him practice in full on Wednesday, and
Yeah,
then I'll be like, all right, good.
yeah. I don't know. I just gotta see. I mean, hopefully from now up until, well, obviously tomorrow, and then hopefully he's feeling better by Wednesday. Um, I that's all I can hope for, man. I don't, cause like right now I don't know at all. So I'm
It's
a
that
bit
kind of year,
unsure.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I can't take anything for granted anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I can't just give a straight answer on certain things anymore either.
I know. I
You
remember
don't
coming
know.
out of the Vegas game being like, yeah, Ronnie Stanley didn't look good, but I bet you, man, by week 10, he's going to be looking great. And then,
Right
you
now,
know
we
what
don't even
happened with
have them.
that. We don't even
Exactly.
have him. But the
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to ask you was, now I was
hmm
on with Ken McCusick last week, and we
hmm
were talking about the use of heavy personnel. So I
hmm
want to just break it down for the viewers or anybody watching. We got 5 offensive linemen. We got
hmm
your quarterback, that's 6. We got your running back, that's 7. So that
Right.
leaves 4 eligible positions. If you go with 1 running back, it leaves 4 eligible positions.
Right.
Now, the Ravens have been dangerously close. I'll have to see the numbers this week. But for the
hmm
last month, we've averaged like 2 big guys and 2 receivers in this situation. Almost. Like we've played almost as many fullbacks and tight ends as we have receivers. So,
hmm
in other words, with the 4 guys left, it would be basically it's been Pat Ricard and Mark Andrews along with 2 receivers. So Boyle comes back; he's going to factor in. But Jameel, I think we need to go more 3 receivers here coming up, where we have Lamar, our running back, Andrews is our tight end, and then Sammy Bateman and Hollywood all out there together. Because really, I think that those 4 Andrews and those 3 receivers are they're 4 of our best, if not the best players we have aside from Lamar on this offense. Would you agree
Absolutely.
with that? We need to spread them out a little bit more and use our receivers.
Absolutely. I even said formation where you can have Boyle and Ricard, and you could go empty in the backfield and have Boyle and Ricard on the ends of the tackles
Mm-hmm.
and had them chip. You can have one chip. You have your 3 receivers, obviously. You'll have you can even do 3. Like I said, you can do Mark Andrews, Hollywood. You can have Bateman, right? And you can have Ricard chipping, or you can have him just an extra blocker, and then you can have Nick Boyle chip and release, or you can just, you know, so now you have your check down, which would be Nick Boyle, or your check down could be Pat Ricard, but you still got 3 receivers, and one of those guys can possibly get open, because what you're doing is you're taking your 2 best blockers outside of Mark Andrews, and you're using them in the passing is for pass protection on the ends, because that's where we struggle a lot at the tackle position. So you're using them to chip, one to chip and release, and the other one is just there to double on a block, double down. Where now you have 3 receivers to throw to, and you got to check down just in case your 3 reads aren't, you know, one of the 3 just some happen not to be open, you know. So that's another formation. Or you can take you know, Boyle out, Ricard out. You can bring the running back and then have Boyle, or then you can leave Ricard, still have the running back take Boyle out. I think this offense, what you just said, more spread it out in those receivers, because that's just I feel like they're still trying to keep that identity that they're a run first team, but they're just not. They're not that. They're not that this year right now. Anyway, I think if they really go all in on, you know, making the best of the passing game, you'll see a lot better, more creativity. Like the fullback screenplay was amazing. I seen a lot of, and not to get too off topic, but I seen a lot of people complaining about the play call. I actually liked it a lot, and I say that because sometimes in your offense, you have to get the ball to the player that defenses least expect to get the ball in a situation. So you going to Ricard in a fullback screen, I'm pretty sure no one on the defense expected Ricard to get the ball.
Yeah, it's Andrew's time, right?
Exactly, and as you can see, it was nothing but green grass in front of him and blockers. It was just poorly executed, but the play call was very, very good. I like the play call. So that type of creativity, I like to see more of that going forward. Like I don't like to say hate. I dislike seeing things. I dislike seeing things like that, and then I don't see it again, or I don't see that level of creativity again. It just it's like a glimpse of that, and then it goes back to the generic play calling as far as the passing game is concerned.
Definitely. And, you know, neither one of us mentioned Duvernay in that too, who's found his place in this offense, made another big play on that last drive. Yesterday was like a 13-yard catch or something. Another good play call where they just kind of flooded that area, and Tyler was able to put it over the first corner, I think it was, and in front of the safety.
Between the safety, yep.
Yeah, man, just another nice throw by Tyler there to add to it. On defense, the Ravens had to stand out. I can't wait to do the cut up. Guess who I'm doing a cut up of this week on defense, Jameel? You got a guess? I mean, he was the player of the game, I think.
Tyus Bowser.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tyus Bowser.
So Tyus, man, let's give him all his credit for all his stats. It was 5 tackles, 2 sacks. Should have been 3, by the way. One was called back when Marlowe got called for a holding. One tackle. Would have been 3. 1 tackle for loss, 1 forced fumble. Of course, sealed the game. And then I love the fact that he didn't do anything silly at the end with Andy Dalton when he had him in the grasp. I don't know if you like me, like paranoid, like don't rough him, no penalty, no nothing. He just kind of held on to deal. Yeah, held on for dear life. Like we got this game over. But it's nice to see Bowser. I mean, he leads the team now with 4.5 sacks. So I was looking at that before the game. You got Houston with 4. You got Away with 4. You got Bowser with 4.5. Starting to get a little bit of production out of those edge rushers, Jameel.
Yeah, we are. I think on most of those sacks we did get, it was just 4-man rushes for the most part. I believe the forced fumble that Bowser got, it was a 4-man rush. The sack, I believe Justin Houston got a sack too. It was a 4-man rush. Bowser's sack that got called back on the defensive hold, I think he came on like a delayed blitz or something like that, and he just came streaming up the middle. But it wasn't. We didn't blitz we didn't send that many guys. Like we had more guys in coverage. That's why that was more like a coverage sack, which I've been preaching as well, because with the defense, with the state that we're in, as far as the certain players we don't have and the lack of playmaking ability in the back end, you want to counterproduct that as a defensive coordinator. You want to make it easier. You want to do things like get coverage sacks, put your defense in positions where, you have more guys in coverage. That way you give your edge rushers time to get there. And then everybody, one hand washes the other. So if the guys on the back end, they're covering well, you get sacks. If the edge rushers is getting there in a timely manner, you could force these quarterbacks to make mistakes. But if you're, like I said, if you're just blitzing and, things like that, most veteran quarterbacks will shred your blitz if they know what's coming. You might get a couple of rookies and young guys and inexperienced guys, but most of everyone is pretty familiar with Wink's style of defense. So, it's got to be a little bit unpredictable at times because, that 4th and 11.
Yeah.
Play call.
Before we get to that, because that's a conversation all to itself, but Wink did do a nice job of like keeping it kind of simple with these 4-man rushes. And then when we did blitz, I saw some numbers, and I think it was like they were 3 of 11 for like 10 yards. Something ridiculous. Like when we did blitz, we sprinkled it in nice, at first, and it was working well against Justin Fields. Fields on the day, just had a really bad game. 4 of 11 for Fields for 79 yards.
A rookie.
And then from the rookie, So
rookie,
Wink had a nice game plan. But, overall, I'm with you, Jameel. I mean, this is something that Jake Garnett and I talk about weekly basis. How should we attack the opposing offense? And Garnett, man, every week he doesn't want to see another blitz for the rest of the year. And I'm like, gee, like I like being aggressive. I don't want to take anything away from us, but I just don't want to get too carried away with it, which I think is what we saw in the Cincinnati game and then what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't want to say I'm never going to say don't blitz. Of course not. But no win situational play calling is very, very important. That's a lot of the times why myself and maybe a few others criticize this. Some of the offensive coordinators. Well, the offensive coordinators, not some, but the two, the OC and the defensive coordinator. Why we criticize them because, the play calling, situational, certain things and making certain, play calls in certain situations is I just don't understand it sometimes. It just don't make any sense. Like, your personnel by now. It's week 12. So like I said, a lot of the things you wouldn't expect by week 12, if it's still happening, is making me raise, eyebrow.
Yeah, definitely. I was a little disappointed in the fans though yesterday because, when I heard the fans' reaction, I heard all this like either or black or white type of talk, and I don't like that kind of talk. Like, why are we blitzing all game? Like we weren't blitzing all game. We were doing okay. Like. You don't need to like fib or like exaggerate to get your point across.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I Wink, in my opinion, and I called it out real time because I'm not a second guesser. Like, if I'm not saying don't go for it, then I'm not going to blame a coach for doing what I'm screaming at the TV. But with Wink, 4th and 11, they were out of field goal range. Right. Like, why send 7, arguably 8? Because one of them had the running back. So it was 8 guys at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Jameel, if I can get one safety back there, bro, just one safety. Andy Dalton can't make that play. Like people were saying, well, he showed faith in Westry. Well, how about showing some faith in Oweh in Houston, Matabike and Calais Campbell to get to Andy Dalton and give your defensive back some help there? Because as you know, going into this game, the Bears pass blocking was is not very good. They're a good run blocking team, but they can't pass block.
Yeah. They're not they're not that strong of a unit when it comes to blocking, pass blocking. But I don't like when people say like he showed trust in Westry. Like, let's be honest. I mean, I like Chris Westry and all that, but come on. Chris Westry has yet to do anything on the football field in the NFL that will make you say he needs to be in that situation.
And he was struggling a little bit before that, by the way, giving up some catches.
Yeah, he was. But what has Chris Westry done in the NFL? And this is with all due respect. I don't disrespect any player, but I'm also going to not put if I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm not going to put a player who's probably never been in that situation in a situation like that.
Right.
That's what is just knowing your personnel. You can try to, like, butter it up and say, oh, he trusts Chris Westry, but
yeah, I didn't buy that.
Trust him to what extent you trust him, and while also not understanding his skill set and what situation you put him in against a track star.
Right.
On 4th and 11.
And like I said, I made my point. Well, I trust Justin Houston and Away and Campbell and Matabike and maybe even Patrick Queen blitzing to get some kind of something on Dalton. It didn't have to be a sack. You know what I mean? Just Bowser was having his way. Like, you didn't have to do that. So yeah, I just when I see the conversations kind of go sideways, where, like I said, people exaggerate to try to make their point. Like, I hear you. Like, that was a bad call for Wink, but let's not act like he hasn't changed it up some. In this game, just this Bears game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He changed it up. He did a pretty good job. I mean, the Ravens shut out the Bears in the first half. It was a very good performance, even though the Bears were missing Allen Robinson. I thought the defense played pretty well. Anthony Averett, we need him back too, man. Hopefully that was just a little twist and a turn to come back, because, Jameel, we can't afford to have any more injuries here.
Yeah, we definitely can't. And just to piggyback on what you said about the fans, right? I like to keep in mind a lot, right? Certain fans like myself, like you, the Jakes of the world, the Garnetts of the world, the Cole Jacksons of the world. We see the game, and even like my bro Knox, we see the game through a different lens than the average fan who's watching. So they're saying, a lot of times emotions run high. So fans, they're just like blurting out anything. You're blitzing all game. And the man, it ain't been that many blitzes. You know what I'm saying? It ain't been all game. But, some fans, they just blurt out stuff because they just, that's just what they, it's emotions, man. Certain things just happen. They say things. I like to educate those who want to be educated. The ones who don't, I let them have it their way and do things and say things however they want. I think most people who complain, you can just tell who's really watching and who's just watching but don't understand what they're watching, in a sense. I could say that. No disrespect to anyone that's watching football, but when people say certain things, you could just tell the difference, because my issue with Wink is strictly situational play calling. It's situational play calling and your personnel play calling. Those are my only two issues with Wink.
Because down to down, it's been a very good defense. It's just the big plays are just
past, he's been
horrible.
Even in the past,
and in the past, right?
Yeah, he's been very efficient with with like I said, down to down. But when it's like the situational play calling, I've always had an issue with from years back. So it's always been that for me.
It's funny, I take this as a compliment, but I don't know if you noticed in other games this year, but you see teams using the read option, not the RPOs, but just the the handoff and the freezing the defensive end. Even though they don't have Lamar, they still do it for a cheap 4 or 5 yards. You didn't see that. You didn't see that pre 2018.
No,
then the other thing is the zero blitzes. You got Miami doing it. You got New England does it a lot. It's the league kind of took what Wink and Giro were doing and incorporating it into their own thing. But like everything else, Jameel, once you start doing things and seeing more of everything, it makes it a little bit more easier to defend, and you're not caught by surprise. So this is the third year of Wink and Giro, with their zero blitzes, their aggressive game plan, and the read option, and you see the effectiveness of that shrink every time, especially if you're playing like a quarterback like Mahomes or Josh Allen, that we'll see if we're going to go where we're going to go eventually in these playoffs. So you got to find different ways to skin the cat. And like I said, Jameel, it was great when we had Marlowe and Marcus Peters. I mean, but now the strength of this team is more Houston and Away getting pressure and Calais Campbell getting pressure. So Instead of putting your trust in Chris Westry and using that as an excuse, put your trust in the veterans, man.
That
Give me
was
the guys with
hilarious.
100.
Yeah.
Put your trust in the guys that have 100 sacks or so. You know what I mean?
Right.
And see if they can get a little
Right.
pressure. And the only
I
other thing I
know.
wanted to say when that spy thing, I don't know if you saw the cut up I did of Adafio Way last week in the Dolphins game, but they use him as the spy, basically where they stand him up right over the center, and then they'll have him back up a yard so the offensive lineman can't engage him or else it'd be ineligible man downfield. And then he'll just read where the quarterback is and then delayed go right in there. And I love that. And here's what I want to see us do, man. I want to run this by you. Like, instead of all out blitzing and having a spy, just take 3 guys and put them one-on-one on one side of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So in other words, you could have Away as your spy, and you could rush, Matabike, Calais, and say Houston from one side. You know which way the man's going to roll out. He's going to roll out opposite of them. And then you have Away just chasing them down. So I like the use of the spy and the delayed rush. That's part of what won us that Kansas City game, if you remember that interception Tavon had.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would like to see them blitz Queen a little bit more too. He's a very explosive blitzer, man. I don't know why we don't blitz him a lot more. I noticed they take him off the field a lot on like 3rd and longs. He comes off the field quite a bit. One of the stronger blitzers. So if you're going to blitz, I would put it's like counterproductive. You take your best blitzer off the field when you're going to blitz. That's like because I see fans like, oh, we're dropping OA in the coverage. Like, yeah, because I've said it, we have, but like it's almost counterproductive. Like, Tyus Bowser is your best coverage linebacker. Drop him in the coverage. Blitz Queen, blitz Away, blitz Houston. And if you got Bowser in coverage along with Bonds, I think that'll be a lot better than, you know what I'm saying, taking Queen off the field and bringing in Chris Board and blitzing Bowser and dropping 08. Like, it's just
too much.
Use the players where they're strongest at. Like, I love Bowser game. I loved it yesterday. I love his sack. I love him getting the sacks on the quarterback. I love it. I don't have no problem with it. But drop him in the coverage. Use Away to get to the quarterback. Use Houston to get to the quarterback, and drop. Bowser's our best coverage linebacker. So
how impressive has PQ been at will, just shooting the gap? And like Jameel, man, like, I'm so excited.
Like day and night.
It's day and night. And then I love when Josh Bynes makes a play and the most hyped person on the field is Patrick Queen. Like, that shows me something about his heart, his character, that he can put himself, he can chill on himself, and he's happy for the team, and he's happy he's playing better. And man, what does it show you? What does that tell you about Patrick Queen, and what do you think about his game since his move to weak side?
I love the move. If anyone has been listening to Ravens Elite podcast episodes back, thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
I gotta throw it in there.
Yeah, thank
right
you,
on, bro.
Yeah, right on. If anyone has been, tuned in, me and Knox have said it multiple times that Queen needs to be, moved to the weak side linebacker. Why? Because that's the position Queen played in college. That's simple.
Playmaker.
That's what he did in college. I don't know why we drafted him and tried to, I know why we drafted him, but trying to make him into what he wasn't in college this early in his career. Like I said, when you go back down the lineage of linebackers, even Ray Lewis, when he first came in, he was not forced into the Mike role. CJ Mosley wasn't forced into being a Mike. He had Daryl Smith.
Right.
Everyone, they need that guy, because like I said on Twitter, somebody tried to combat me with they said, oh, he needed a 32-year-old to come off the streets and baby him. Bynes deserves all the credit. And I'm like, but so Queen deserves no credit for playing better at his original position? Like, he deserves
a lot of credit. He deserves a lot of credit, and I think his
attitude. The position he played in college, bro. That's like us being upset that Brandon Stevens isn't flourishing because he's at safety. He's not even a safety. He's a new defensive back, but he played cornerback in college
and safety. He played both, man. Like
but he
yeah,
was more so of a corner at SMU. I watched it a little bit. I mean, I most of his highlights that I saw, he was at corner at SMU. I didn't really see him at safety as much. So that's just me personally. I'm just making the comparison. Like,
but yeah,
example.
point stands. But so, but what do you see? Like, I understand the thought process, but with the Ravens, we're like, all right, this guy's ultra talented. If he can shed a block, we can get the best of both worlds. We can keep Queen out here for 3 downs. And then it came to the conclusion that, hey, if we just take a little bit off his plate, let him chase this thing from the backside like he did in college, and just let him be him, that he's going to be great, and he has. But let me ask you, like, for the future, do you think that Queen could be a Mike, or is he just a little undersized? His play style is more of a chase player than a take-on blocker. Do you think, in other words, is this move, like, do you think this is a permanent move for Queen, or do you think they'll try him back at Mike, say, next year?
I think I think they'll try. They'll try to see. I think, but for Queen, I think less is better. I think less is better for Queen, man. I think they might even, I say the better thing will be to leave him where he's flourishing. If he can move up, then fine. But I say go grab a veteran who can perform and put them beside Queen, man. That's what I would do. Me personally, I would go get a veteran who can come in and still perform, that that can bring you some, some valuable playing, right now in their career, that's not going to cost you a ton of money. Because like I said, you look at guys like Devin White, that he got Levante David, just the benefit of having a guy beside you that at that caliber can just with young linebackers is not so much on your plate. You don't have so much to think about and do. Every linebacker, every young player don't respond well to just having a ton of assignments and a ton of things on their mental. Some guys need their role simplified for them to play at a high level. That's just what it is. And Queen is really excelling with having, his role simplified.
I agree. If they bring in another linebacker, I want them to be more of a thumping Mike, because I feel like if you're going to not have a Will, you bring a safety into that role. So don't draft another weak side linebacker and try to move Queen back. If you do anything, give him at least some competition in the middle. But Brandon Stevens is another guy I was going to mention. You mentioned him, but I'm a little bit disappointed in his play the last few weeks, and these angles that he's taken are way too aggressive. Like, they're Deshaun Elliott type angles, but he's not. It doesn't look the same. We saw a couple of missed tackles. The big one was on that touchdown to Mooney
right?
yesterday.
Wasn't he the one that took that angle and Mooney cut? And that was
the last one.
Stevens.
Yep, he was the last one in. The very last one in was Stevens. Yep. So Clark couldn't get over there fast enough. Basically, Clark bit on a play action that he had no business on. Bowser, I believe it was, sealed the edge, so that was nice. But I think it was Westry couldn't get off his block, and Chuck Clark bounced off of him, and then Stevens comes in way late. Like, he should have already been over there. I have to look at the 22 to tell you if he was taking false steps or not. But I mean, it was a bubble screen. He should have been screaming right towards that side. But Brandon Stevens, he definitely needs more seasoning. And to me, Jameel, when I look at Stone and when he's played that position, he is, if nothing else, is a sure tackler and safe. So I wouldn't mind taking a little bit off of Brandon Stevens' plate, putting him in a position like Queen where he's used to doing what he does best, and let Geno Stone take some of the brain work and some of the, I don't even want to say brain work, but Geno's got a lot of experience being the back ends at free safety. So just let him do that. So it's not such an adjustment. And, when Brandon Stevens plays, put him in more favorable situations.
Let him play on the slot, stuff like that.
Cover some tight ends, you know what I mean? Whatever.
That's just me. Like I said, they've been, the Ravens, they take you and put you elsewhere and all of that stuff. They got our Darius. Now he's a nickel corner, but he was a safety in college, and they got Stevens. He was a corner, and now he's a free safety in a very complex defense.
Positionless.
Yeah, but we need a for sure guy on that back end. Because
I hear you.
Remember when we had, even though Earl Thomas had a very short stay, that reassurance on the back end, that veteran presence does a lot for your secondary, does a whole lot for your cornerbacks. We all seen Marlon Humphrey had an all-pro season. Marcus Peters was an all-pro. I'm just saying, Earl Thomas didn't get an all-pro. He got a Pro Bowl nod, but he did his presence. It's the presence of Earl Thomas being back. Oh, Earl Thomas is back there. It's almost like, not saying Earl Thomas is Ed Reed, because when this come out, I don't want nobody in the comments saying.
No, he's not close.
Yeah, but the presence is like Ed Reed's back there. Oh, Earl Thomas is back there. It's like, it's just a presence that's presented when they're on the field. So, you got to have that guy. Like, nobody's dropping back saying, oh, my God, Brandon Stevens. Like, yeah. No, but, hopefully
it's just
get it together.
At that position more than any other, Jameel. I mean, that was my spot. You cannot make a big mistake.
No, you can't.
That's where you don't want to gamble with somebody new to the position. Last line of defense, man. You got to be deepest is the deep, and you got to see things clearly and react. So I might be in a minority here, but I would like to see Geno Stone get some more snaps at free safety, cut Brandon Stevens back to like what he was doing when Deshaun was healthy, which is just coming in, putting in nice positions and making a play. So hey, we was pretty nitpicky in this show, but overall, Jameel, how are you feeling about this team? Talk about what kind of a big win this was as we head into the gauntlet here, man. The Pittsburgh-Cleveland sandwich got coming up. How you feeling about the squad?
I feel, strangely enough, I feel good, but I still have like a lot of I have my concerns, my uncertainty here and certain things, but for me, it's like what I've been seeing from Cleveland is like, okay, but they don't really they're Cleveland. They got the running back, but it's like I don't know if they can. I don't know if I'm scared of Cleveland. I don't even know if I'm scared of the Steelers. I just don't know. It's like when you got Lamar on your team, it's like it boosts your confidence so high. It's like even with him, when you think about Lamar, I have Lamar Jackson. It makes you feel so much better about your football team. I think we have a chance to win win a lot more games to finish out this season. I don't think we're gonna win every division game, but I do think we're gonna win some games that people don't expect us to win. I don't know. I just got this niche that Lamar's gonna come back after this illness and just be perfect, for some reason. Now, I don't know why. I just think he's gonna come back and he's just gonna be tearing it up, for real. And if that happens, come back to this video.
That's what I'm saying. It would be very Lamar-like to have that happen for sure.
Yeah,
and then,
for real.
I mentioned last week on one of our shows, it's like the Ravens finished their AFC non-division schedule before this game. So they went 4-2 against the AFC West and the Colts and the Dolphins. That's pretty good. The Dolphins win would have made it 5-1, and obviously that would have been hard for Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. It'd been hard for any of them to match that. But even the 4-2, it's like good luck playing Kansas City and the Chargers, and coming out of that. And whoever you got from the East, they messed around with Buffalo and they'll get New England, so they got different teams than us, but they all had to play the AFC West. So it's just kind of what a strange season because the Ravens have held serve, man. We are 7-3.
7-3.
7-3. And we still don't know where we stand in this division. We could be the last place team or the first place team, depending on how these division games go.
But it's almost for me, man, it's that. It's I don't want to say it because I don't want to sound like I feel like we're gonna win out or anything crazy like that, right? Because I feel like we're gonna probably lose a couple more games, but or a few. But I think the worst you've seen, I feel like the team that you've seen, that's the worst we can get. like how we've shown, like I don't think it can get any worse. It could get better though. And the fact that's the optimism for me. The fact that we've seen this team, how bad this team is, and they're still 7-3. That's all I'm gonna say. The fact that this team has been very inconsistent, and the fact that they are still 7-3. If it gets any better, I don't know what to say after that. I don't know what's going to happen, but that is very promising if this team could like clean up at least some of the little mistakes we have or the mishaps we have. If we can clean up at least some of that stuff, not everything, because that probably would take the off season, but some of the things that we can fix right now.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I just see so many self-inflicted type issues with this team, like especially on defense. We mentioned the big plays, and then the offensive line. I mean, it hasn't been good all year. I could see it improving with McCary getting healthier. Cleveland, Juwan James is a possibility. Cedric Ogbuehi. We actually have some depth now, better than we did when we were just absolutely just gutted. Yeah. So, I'm hoping, you get a healthy Sammy and Rashad together. There's one thing we haven't seen really. And we haven't, the line can play, the offensive line can play better. The defense, so many missed opportunities. So as we wrap up here, Jameel, what kind of, that's Knox. Is that Knox?
No, that's not.
Good. Because I would have had to give him something when I seen him, man. You know what I'm saying?
Close that, man.
Yeah, that's your girlfriend calling. I mean, I know you're a nice, very, very loyal and good dad and all. So that was just jokes. But as we wrap up though, man, what's your final thoughts either on the game, season? Go ahead and close me out. What you got, man? What are you going to drop?
So look, man, Ravens flock, Ravens community, have no fear, breathe, release, man. Everything's going to be okay. If the season does not finish how you want, do not get down on yourself, stay positive. I feel like this team, like I said, they can't get any worse. So if they get any better, expect, some really good things by the end of the season. Because if this team could get any better, that means, at where they are now, they're 7-3. So if they get any better, then, some special things could happen.
Yep, it's all about how you're playing in January. It really is. This AFC every week. It seems like another team just steps in it, man. If it's not us, it's somebody else. So just try to get some consistency. Rely on one of the best players in football, and Lamar Jackson.
Absolutely, man.
Let's see, man. It's interesting though. Let's see where it takes us. Like, let's roll the dice with all these injuries and everything. My expectations have gone down, but I still realize that we have a chance to win this thing because there ain't nobody running.
7-3, number two in the AFC. Number two.
And really,
in the AFC.
Number one in fewest losses, tied with Tennessee. So man. Nobody has 2 losses. Everybody has at least 3. So, Jameel, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming in. Man. And we'll be pumping it out. Give Knox my best. Next time we have to get him on the show. You know what I mean? Like,
I know, man. I know.
Man of mystery, man.
Man of mystery, man. I'm telling you, man. But we definitely will. We'll get it together.
Yeah, well, I love you guys so much. And I'm always here for you. Make sure you check out Jameel and Knox's pod. Coming out every Tuesday. Links will be below. The Ravens Elite. Good show. Worth the listen. So, Jameel, say goodbye to the people, man. Say goodbye to football family.
Football is family, man. You guys have a great night. Sleep well. Don't let the bed bugs bite.